The CTSI offers a variety of educational programs for research scholars.
I was able to perform these smaller single institution studies that really helped with my future clinical trials and grants that I have been able to achieve.
It was essential to launching my independent research career, committed to pursuing clinical research and becoming independently funded.
I don't think I would have gotten here without those programs. In fact, I can say for certain I would not have.
The CTSI trained me. Now I train my colleagues, and the goal is they ultimately become mentors themselves.
The spotlight is on star scholars of the CTSI inside this edition of CTSI Discovery Radio. Welcome to CTSI Discovery Radio. I'm your host, Brian Belmer. CTSI Discovery Radio is brought to you by the Clinical and Translational Science Institute of Southeast Wisconsin. The CTSI is a consortium of researchers, doctors, scientists, and others representing 8 institutions, including the Medical College of Wisconsin, Milwaukee School of Engineering, Marquette University, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Children's Wisconsin, Froedtert Hospital, Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin, and the Zablocki VA Medical Center. The CTSI works collaboratively across all of our member institutions. Our mission is advancing health through research and discovery. As we launch our new year of shows, it's a perfect time to highlight and celebrate some of the CTSI's star scholars, researchers who have completed various translational research workforce development educational programs offered by the CTSI. These include the KL2 Mentor Development Program for Early Stage Investigators, the Clinical Research Scholars Program for Junior Faculty, and the Clinical and Translational Science Master's and Certificate programs. Today, we'll meet 4 super users of the CTSI's offerings, beginning with Dr. Lubna Chaudhary, Associate Professor, Department of Medicine, Division of Hematology and Oncology, and a member of the Breast Cancer Care Center at Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin. Dr. Chaudhary has completed the CTSI's KL2, Clinical Research Scholars, and Clinical and Translational Science Master's programs.
I've been very fortunate to complete my fellowship here, and then being a faculty for almost 10 years now. I've had great mentorship, and early on in my career, being focused on academics, this was a lot of good mentorship, and just wanted to explore these programs to improve the clinical and translational pathway that I was interested in.
Along the way, she's had many memorable and valuable experiences in these programs. She recalls one from the KL2 program.
I think the best experience has been this group reviews that we have had, where we had group discussions and feedback from different subspecialties on your work. We had opportunities to present our ideas and work and then get feedback, but also then listen to others' idea outside of your field of expertise and really give feedback there. So it was a very good learning experience.
As far as specific knowledge Dr. Chaudhary gained through the CTSI's programs,
so I'll start with the CTSI MS program, and the master's program really helped me kind of develop a focused hypothesis-generating question that then helped me later on in my academic career. Further programs like KL2 then provided funding opportunities and the platform to develop an idea and actually run the idea as a clinical trial. So overall, all the programs have really helped with grant writing, reviews, and bringing the work from pages to an actual implementation.
How did these educational programs impact her approach to clinical and translational research?
The great opportunity here is that these programs help with earlier pilot studies, internal small studies that can really generate data for future trials and grants, and that was the case in my case, where I was able to perform these smaller single institution studies that really helped with my future clinical trials and grants that I have been able to achieve.
And in advancing her career and research goals, the programs have been
just tremendously support in clinical and translational science, where the opportunities to not only grow academically and clinically, to have a focused question and then learn how to write a manuscript or write a grant and ultimately get funding, that has really been transformative in this process.
Next, Dr. Chaudhary shares how many of her own research studies have been influenced by training she received in the CTSI's educational programs.
It's more than one, for sure, but earlier when I was in the master's program, part of the learning was to have a thesis and do your own statistical analysis and then publish that, so that was my earlier publications. But more importantly, the KL2 grant was really important because it helped provide funding for this really interesting chemoimmunotherapy clinical trial that we have had as an IIT for ER-positive and triple-negative breast cancer, and that has generated really interesting results with more analysis and work to follow.
Another important aspect of her experience from these programs, team science.
Depending on which program we go with, master's was, of course, more learning, lots of good mentorship, developing ideas and writing, whereas KL2 was more of a broader team effort where you're focused on your project, but also learning about other projects and really developing great collaborative opportunities and presenting these ideas, and also developing this clinical critique on your own work as well as others' works.
Plus, the impact of mentorship is undeniable.
Now, as a highlight, mentorship has been the key, because early on when you're a trainee or a junior faculty and you don't have the experience in grant writing or developing or running a clinical trial, mentorship is really important, and I've had that both from my own department side but also from the CTSI side, where all of these people have just come together to provide great time and input into your work and improve on the writing and really help develop these ideas.
Also, networking opportunities that have significantly influenced the trajectory of her research career.
Networking is really important for clinical research as well as career growth, and there have been great opportunities not only for internal networking, where we would meet with physicians and colleagues from different subspecialties. It's such a big department and academic center, and so lots of internal networking and opportunities, but also some external reviewers and others would look into your work, so it has been a good platform for networking.
Based on the experience she gained, she tells her peers considering entering one of these CTSI programs,
I would say go for it. If you're interested in an academic career and want to really focus on clinical and translational aspect, be a clinical scientist, these programs will provide a great platform and a lot of opportunities.
And for a young person considering a career in clinical or translational research,
I think the CTSI program offers a lot of good courses, rotation, internship opportunities, and that provides a great way of really getting a good sense of what a career in clinical and translational science looks like.
By the way, it's not only advice she gives for you or other people's young students.
I have personally benefited from it. My daughter, who's a high schooler, she has been interested in medicine, and she benefited from being selected for the CTSI 500 Stars program earlier this year, and she's planning to apply again because she really loved it.
Today, Dr. Chaudhary has specific research interests anchored by her experiences with the CTSI.
My research focuses on breast cancer, understanding resistance to particular drugs, endocrine therapy that we use, immune therapy. Very interested and motivated for clinical trial development, and all the training and the support that has been provided by the programs helped shape my career pathway.
And being part of the CTSI has been a key component of her developmental growth, both professionally and personally.
For me, it's been really important because it has provided great platforms for learning how to develop a trial and a translational science aspect of it.
Next, we hear from Dr. Jacqueline Kulinski, Associate Professor, Department of Medicine, Division of Cardiology, and Director of the Preventative Cardiology and Lipids Clinic at Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin. Dr. Kulinski tells us that her path getting to and through the CTSI research programs was a bit different, especially considering she had another career path before becoming a physician scientist.
I had dabbled in research for a while, even before my medical career. I was a biomedical engineering student at Marquette University for undergraduate studies. I took part in a cooperative education program where they have engineering students working for a biomedical device company where I focused on atrial arrhythmia research. So even in that role, I was doing research.
And it was then and there that her workplace mentor
Suggested I think about medical school.
So she thought about it, and then she went to medical school.
During medical school, I graduated with the honors and research recognitions. This was the result of a research project I did with Dr. David Gutterman, who's been a longtime mentor of mine. It was a clinical trial where we compared the low-fat diet to a low-carbohydrate diet and looked at their respective impacts on vascular endothelial function. That research won an award for the most significant clinical publication in the Journal of Hypertension.
Suffice to say, Dr. Kulinski was hooked on research.
From having a hypothesis, designing the studies and experiments, executing them, and then interpreting and disseminating the results.
After medical school, residency, and then a fellowship in clinical cardiology.
During fellowship, I was in a program where they really emphasized research, and I liked research, so it was a perfect fit. So there, I did more epidemiology-type research, and some of my first author papers really came from my fellowship training, and is really what solidified my desire, I would say, to become a clinician scientist.
And once initially hired at the medical college as junior faculty, she hoped to continue her pursuit of research knowledge and experience because
I didn't have any grant funding, so I really did not have much protected time to do research. And I also wanted more formal training and didactics in translational research.
Leading Dr. Kulinski to pursue and complete the CTSI's KL2, CRS, and CTS certificate programs.
The Department of Medicine supported my participation in the Clinical and Translational Science Certificate Program, and simultaneously, I did the Clinical Research Scholar Program, and it was essential to launching my independent research career, committed to pursuing clinical research and becoming independently funded.
She adds that the KL2 program
was an absolute necessity due to the protected time that it gives you for research. Time that as a clinician I'd otherwise be doing clinical work. So this 2-year award gave me time to collect preliminary data, provided some research dollars to purchase supplies, and I also had the time to write papers and grants.
Along the way, through the various CTSI programs, she met many memorable people.
First off, Dr. Jane Kotchin. Her epidemiology course was my favorite course. Such an engaging and gifted educator. Dr. Ted Kotchin, he was heavily invested in training physician scientists, and he was there for me, especially when I needed guidance at certain times during my career. Jane and Ted had distinguished careers in academic medicine. They both passed away a few years ago, but I'm so thankful and blessed to have known them. They will always be memorable for me.
Next, Dr. Kulinski reflects on how the CTSI programs shaped her approach to research.
I realized that I have a personal passion for investigator-initiated clinical trials. So conceptualizing, designing, and conducting clinical trials in specific populations that will answer important scientific questions. And randomized clinical trials are really the gold standard, but they certainly do come with their own special set of challenges. But, each challenge addressed or conquered makes me a better scientist and a better clinical trialist.
And her teachers and mentors inside the classes shaped her career outside of the classroom.
Because I try to emulate these scientists, right? I mean, they have all touched my career in some way. Their own successes in their careers has really inspired me and reinforced in me perseverance, positivity, humility, and hard work.
All great qualities for success as a clinical researcher, a mentor, and a role model.
Obviously, having experienced scientists give you advice and give you perspective is very helpful, and so always very appreciative of any advice that they gave me. A lot of them too, Brian, were just role models. I looked up to them supporting others. It's not an easy path to be a physician scientist, but it's definitely rewarding. And, if you enjoy it, that's the most important part.
Well, that and a never give up attitude.
I learned that you can't give up after a grant rejection. Don't even give up after the second, third, or fourth grant rejection. Look at those disappointments as learning opportunities that will only make you better. And this is really the nature of scientific research. You really have to have that mindset in order to succeed.
And Dr. Kulinski definitely has that mindset.
The primary project that I started was studying the role of sedentary behavior and the impacts on cardiometabolic and vascular health. It was a pilot study, so a smaller study of about 15 or 16 subjects. I enrolled MCW employees who had sedentary desk jobs and gave them an adjustable sit-stand desk, basically to reduce their sedentary time while at work.
The success of that initial pilot study has led to a grant funding a large-scale clinical trial that's ongoing.
I have a great research team. The CTSI has all these other resources that help me still today, right? But this, far and away, is the project that has been helped the most by the CTSI educational programs.
And through her experience, she's now co-director of the CTSI's Clinical Research Scholars Program.
It's a leadership and a teaching position. Being co-director of this program has made me a stronger and more effective mentor. I know how instrumental the program was in my own path, and I wanted to pay it back. I want to help other junior faculty realize that same success.
Success she's discovered in aspects of both her work and her life.
Professionally and personally, if I hadn't done any of these, Brian, there's no way I'd be where I am today. There's just no way.
Now, let's meet Dr. Jennifer Knight, professor of psychiatry, medicine, and microbiology and immunology, and a member of the Cancer Center at the Medical College of Wisconsin. Dr. Knight completed the CTSI's KL2, CRS, and CTS master's programs. And she tells us,
each one, I think, had its own reason for pursuing. But when I first came to MCW as a junior faculty member and starting my first faculty position, it was really important to me to be able to succeed in research. And so all of these things supported that.
She shares some specific examples how.
The Clinical Research Scholars Program was really critical in providing mentorship and camaraderie and networking as I arrived on campus trying to start my academic career as an independent investigator. And the master's program I kind of did along at the same time, and that was really important to round out and really understand research. It was really critical to get additional formalized training.
And the KL2 program
was really the next step of applying what I had learned about aiming to become an independent investigator, and that's really a launching grant that really significantly helped me move on to secure additional external funding and launch into an independent investigator career. So all of them were complementary and each critical for different reasons.
As for the countless memorable experiences from her time in these programs,
I'll just tell you the first thing that comes to mind is I remember probably my first year as a faculty member sitting in the Clinical Research Scholars Program. So it's a group of very diverse junior faculty members from all different backgrounds in CTSI institutions. And, like many junior people, I think I was feeling insecure about what was I doing there? Was this going to work? Would it be successful? I just presented some proposal for a grant or project.
Following her presentation, the program's instructor asked her a challenging question.
And he said, why should this be done? What piece are you really doing in this? And I sort of thought, oh, he got me. I guess this isn't going to work. And figuratively, I wanted to pack up my stuff and leave.
But fortunately, she stayed for his pivotal follow-up question.
He said, would this project be done if it weren't for you? And that I could very clearly answer no, because it definitely wouldn't be. And he said, that's your role, and that's your critical piece of being an investigator. It helped me understand what my role was as a translational investigator. I think back to that comment a lot. That was really formative.
One of many formative lessons she learned from the CTSI's educational courses for researchers.
I do very interdisciplinary work, and the skill of being able to converse with people across disciplines, I think, has been the greatest skill. I'm not a basic scientist, and I'm also not a biostatistician, but they're absolutely critical to the work I do. And you need to be able to really understand the different languages, the different environments. So I really think often about that translational piece.
So much so, in fact, that
many days I feel like I am a translator, sort of a translator in the scientific world. And I continue to develop, but these programs all fostered that in a very intensive way such that I'm able to continue to refine that piece.
Dr. Knight's embracing of team science shapes her approach to translational research.
I got to interact with people from a huge variety of backgrounds. I feel like it's really just informed my entire philosophy, which is meeting people in other disciplines where they're at and putting together the best minds and ideas to get the most innovative science. And that was something that was throughout all the programs, and I continue to really incorporate that.
Which, in turn, has advanced her research career and goals.
My goal was to be an independent investigator, independently funded and conducting research that you are leading as a PI of independently funded grants. I have achieved that, and now the goal is to continue to sustain a funded and productive research career, and I don't think I would have gotten here without those programs. In fact, I can say for certain I would not have.
As far as specific research she's conducted,
I study the impact of stress on immune function and what that means for cancer patients. We just recently published some data identifying that the impact of one's social environment is so strong and impactful, it can actually be transplanted.
Hold up. Stress can be transplanted?
At a very cellular level, we identified that we can really transplant the effects of that into a hematopoietic stem cell transplant recipient. So basically a bone marrow transplant.
So, if the stem cell donor lives in a disproportionately socially disadvantaged environment,
the negative health impacts are so deep and so rooted at a biological level that you can transplant those negative effects. Patients who get that transplanted tissue can also suffer the worst health consequences as the donor.
Specializing in cancer disparity research has become Dr. Knight's sweet spot.
To arrive at these findings that really go so far beyond any one disease or any one area of medicine was really profound for me, and I hope that idea can really help move forward understanding health disparities in general. And we're continuing that work. That really all stemmed from CTSI programs.
Programs that impressed upon her the importance of networking as well.
It's networking with mentors, and it's also networking with people you may collaborate with, but it's also forming like a network to support you through this difficult road.
And the road to research can indeed be difficult.
I mean, it's mostly filled with rejections and denials. I mean, it just is. And to have people across different disciplines who have that shared experience that you can really candidly talk about these things to get through the difficult times and to celebrate wins and the successes and discoveries. And, that support is critical.
Speaking of support, for any of her cohorts thinking about pursuing the CTSI research educational programs,
I would say apply and pursue that for a robust and meaningful research career.
And hopefully find a career path as fulfilling as Dr. Knight's.
I love my job. I feel very fortunate that I get to do what I do. It's not an easy path. There's a lot of rejections and denials. So be interested, be curious, and persevere.
Our fourth and final star scholar today is Dr. Anita D'Souza, Professor and Associate Chief of Research, Department of Medicine, Division of Hematology and Oncology at the Medical College of Wisconsin. Dr. D'Souza shares her path to the CTSI Translational Workforce Development Programs.
I started my medical school in India, then my residency there. When I moved to the U.S., I redid my medicine residency and then a clinical fellowship in hematology and oncology. And at the end of it, I knew I was a very good clinician. What I didn't feel confident about was my research training. And I knew I wanted to be a clinical and translational researcher as a faculty member.
So, for her, the CTSI's KL2, CRS, and CTS Master's programs just made sense.
So when I came to MCW, I didn't have too many peers that I knew outside of my division, and the CRS program really helped me get that knowledge. And my intent in getting the Master's of Science degree with the CTSI was exactly to get a good foundation in doing clinical research.
The CTSI offered her exactly what she needed to get where she wanted to go.
And I picked courses best suited to the kind of research I was interested in doing, which was outcome research, health services research, and doing clinical trials. And so that master's program gives me a good experience with using biostatistical programs, getting a good foundational knowledge in epidemiology and conduct of clinical trials.
Next, Dr. D'Souza shares a memorable experience, this one from the Clinical Research Scholars Program.
The small group that I was in had a faculty member from the physical medicine and rehab program. I work in bone marrow transplant, but we realized that we were seeing similar groups of patients.
So they formed an interdisciplinary bond.
We decided to put our expertises together and described a cohort of bone marrow transplant patients having more functional decline following the procedure, and how the PM&R team was helpful recognizing who are these patients and what strategies they had in place that could help these patients recover their functionals in a more expedited fashion.
The result of this partnership?
We pooled those experiences and then published that paper. And if it wasn't for the CRS program, our paths wouldn't have crossed and we probably wouldn't have done that work.
From there, it was on to the KL2 Mentored Career Development Program.
And that is the Career Development Award that is available through the CTSI to give early career dedicated and protected research time along with funding for research. And that eventually led to successfully be awarded those NIH grants.
All of which played an impactful role in advancing her research career and goals.
The protected time was important. The advice that's given by the senior faculty members in the CTSI, and then the funding itself. That first grant is so important. So to have the KL2 program along with the CRS, it all cohesively flows towards success. All of these things together created a nice path for me.
Today, Dr. D'Souza is a mentor herself, encouraging others to utilize the CTSI for the resource it is.
Use the CTSI, go to the talks, attend some of the meet and greets, look at the options available, and just start engaging. The path that worked for me may not work out for someone else, but that process of engaging is so important.
For anyone considering a career in research,
we get inspired by a particular person, and that's who you want to be. So when you see it, you want to be it.
So perhaps one day they too will become mentors for future researchers.
It kind of comes full circle, right? So the CTSI trained me, now I train my colleagues, and the goal is they ultimately become mentors themselves.
And ensures that the CTSI pipeline remains, as these STAR scholars find it, committed to
team science, accelerating discovery,
opportunity and growth,
interdisciplinary and collaborative.
Each of those exemplifies CTSI.
That's all the time we have for this edition of CTSI Discovery Radio. As always, thanks to each of our guests for appearing on today's show. Dr. Lubna Chaudhary, Dr. Jacqueline Kulinski, Dr. Jennifer Knight, and Dr. Anita D'Souza. I hope you've discovered something by listening to today's show. And I'm doubly hopeful you'll join us again next time. CTSI Discovery Radio airs the third Friday of every month. Make an appointment on your calendar and join us for each episode. On behalf of the Clinical and Translational Science Institute of Southeast Wisconsin and all of our affiliate partners and members, I'm Brian Belmer. wishing you happier, healthier days ahead. For more information about research or to listen to the podcast of this or any of our shows on demand, please visit our website at ctsi.mcw.edu. CTSI Discovery Radio is written, produced, and hosted by Brian Belmer in collaboration with WMSE Radio. The CTSI and this program are under the direction of Dr. Reza Shakir.